The rain had been falling for 3 days straight. Maya pressed her face against the cold window of her small cabin, watching droplets race down the glass like tears. The forest beyond looked darker than usual, shrouded in mist that seemed to swallow the ancient pines whole. She had always found comfort in the wilderness that surrounded her home, but lately something felt different. Something was changing. At 24, Maya had grown accustomed to her solitary life. She worked as a wildlife photographer, spending her days tracking deer paths and waiting patiently for the perfect shot. Her neighbors in the small mountain town of Cedar Falls thought her strange for choosing such isolation, but Maya preferred the company of trees and streams to the complicated world of human relationships. She had never fit in anywhere, not really. There was always something that set her apart, something she couldn't quite name. Her senses seemed sharper than others. She could hear conversations from rooms away, smell rain hours before it arrived, and sometimes, in the deepest part of night, she felt a restless energy that made her want to run wild through the forest. Tonight, that feeling was stronger than ever. Maya pulled on her rain jacket and stepped out into the storm. The cool air hit her face like a gentle slap, instantly soaking her dark hair. She breathed deeply, letting the scent of wet earth and pine needles fill her lungs. This was where she belonged, out here in the wild spaces between civilization and something far older. She walked the familiar path toward Moonstone Creek, her boots splashing through puddles that reflected the pale light filtering through the canopy. The sound of rushing water grew louder as she approached the bend where the creek widened into a small clearing. This was her favorite spot, a place where she often came to think and feel less alone in the world. But as she rounded the corner, Maya stopped short. Someone was there. A man stood in the center of the clearing, completely still despite the rain pouring down around him. His long dark hair clung to his shoulders, and even from a distance, Maya could see the powerful build of his frame. He was shirtless, seemingly unbothered by the cold, and there was something about his presence that made the very air feel charged with electricity. Maya's heart began to race, but not from fear. There was something familiar about him, though she was certain they had never met. She felt drawn to him in a way that defied logic, as if every step she had ever taken had been leading her to this moment. The stranger turned and their eyes met. Across the clearing, his gaze was intense, almost golden in the dim light, and Maya felt something deep inside her chest respond with recognition. The restless energy that had plagued her for months suddenly focused, like a compass finding true north. This man, whoever he was, held answers to questions she hadn't even known how to ask. "I've been waiting for you," he said, his voice carrying easily through the rain. Maya found herself walking toward him without making a conscious decision to move. "Waiting for me? That I don't even know who you are." A sad smile crossed his features. "My name is Marcus, and I know this is overwhelming, but I need you to listen carefully. You're not entirely human, Maya. You're part of something much older, much more powerful." The words should have sounded crazy, but they resonated through Maya's bones like truth. All those nights of restless energy, all those moments of feeling different, disconnected from the human world around her, suddenly made sense. "What am I?" she whispered. "You're a werewolf," Marcus said gently. "And not just any werewolf. You're my mate, destined to stand beside me as Luna Queen of the largest pack in North America." Maya's knees went weak. She sank down onto a fallen log, rain streaming down her face as she tried to process what he was telling her. "That's impossible. I would know if I was ... if I could ... Your abilities were bound when you were very young," Marcus explained. Moving closer, "Your parents wanted to protect you from our world, so they had a witch suppress your wolf nature. But the binding is weakening. Haven't you felt it? The restlessness, the enhanced senses, the need to run free." Everything clicked into place. Maya looked up at the stranger who somehow felt like home, and for the first time in her life, she didn't feel alone. Why now? She asked, "Why are you here now?" Marcus knelt beside her, his presence warm despite the cold rain. "Because our pack is in danger. There's an ancient threat rising, something that requires the combined strength of an alpha and his true mate to defeat. I've searched for you for over a century, following whispers and legends, never giving up hope." "A century?" Maya's eyes widened. "How old are you?" "Old enough to know that what we have is rare and precious," he said softly. "The bond between true mates transcends time, Maya. I felt you calling to me across the years, felt your loneliness, echoing my own." As if responding to his words, Maya felt something warm unfurl in her chest. The connection between them was undeniable, stronger than anything she had ever experienced. When Marcus reached out to touch her hand, the contact sent sparks of recognition through her entire being. "I'm scared," she admitted. "I know," Marcus said, his thumb gently stroking across her knuckles. "This is a lot to accept. But you don't have to face it alone. You'll never be alone again." Maya looked into his golden eyes and saw centuries of solitude reflected there, a loneliness that matched her own. But she also saw hope, love, and an unshakable devotion that took her breath away. "What happens next?" she asked. "That's up to you," Marcus replied. "I won't force this bond on you. If you choose to walk away, I'll respect that decision. But if you're willing to trust me, to let me help you unlock the wolf within, then we'll face whatever comes together." Maya thought of her quiet life, her solitary cabin, her careful existence on the edges of a world that had never truly accepted her. Then she thought of the restless energy that had been building inside her, the sense that she was meant for something more. She looked at Marcus, this man who had waited over 100 years to find her and made her choice. "Show me," she said simply. Marcus smiled, and it was like watching the sun break through storm clouds. "Close your eyes," he whispered. "Feel the wolf inside you." She's been sleeping, but she remembers what it means to be wild and free. Maya closed her eyes and reached deep within herself. For the first time, instead of fighting the restless energy, she embraced it. She felt something ancient and powerful stirring, stretching, beginning to wake. When she opened her eyes again, the world looked different. Colors were more vivid, sounds were clearer, and she could smell the complex tapestry of scents that made up the forest around them. "Welcome home, Luna," Marcus said, and Maya knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, she would never again face them alone. The rain continued to fall, but now it felt like a blessing, washing away her old life and preparing her for something extraordinary.